Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat of the fruit thereof. That's from Proverbs 18:21. So today I want to talk about how expectations kill your desires and your passion, and how mystery and the pursuit within mystery actually breeds desire and passion. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that passion and desire are the pinnacle goal here in what you should be striving for, but you need those things. You need some kind of desire and some kind of passion in order to move forward, right? So, this is also in part the fascination, or the really, how would you say it? It's the fascination and the proclivity to be mesmerized by mystery in of itself. And to be mesmerized by mystery means to have some kind of passion about the unknown, or about what is unknown to you. And so you have the power with every single word that you speak, and with every word that you utter unto people in general. You have the power to bring life or death to your dreams and to your desires and to your passions. Now, what exactly does that mean? How does that really work? Think about it in this way. Thinking about it from a perspective of cursing yourself or empowering yourself. When you say, I don't know if I can, you are still in the mystery, but you're not moving any particular direction. You're just staying there in the mystery. But if you say, I know I will, then you have a willpower. Then you have a sense of a backbone. Then you have a sense of understanding exactly what you must do to get to where you need to be. And this is also the difference between bringing life with your words and bringing death with your words. Obviously, when you say, I don't know if I can, you are bringing death to who you are as a person. Now, there's a difference also between saying, I don't know if I can because of the situation that I'm in, or I don't know if I can make it to the to the show tomorrow night at 7 p.m. because I have other plans. Like, there's a difference between saying, I don't know if I can do that because, and just saying, I don't know if I can. So the differentiation here, and the juxtaposition really that we need to think about, is coming from what gives you empowerment and what gives you disempowerment. Because what disempowers you is going to kill your passion. If you are starting to learn an instrument, and if you are starting to understand and read more about what you like to read about, whether I have a particular designation towards philosophy and psychology, those are my two main foundations of what I read on, apart from novels. But if those books are what drives me to read and understand, if I don't make the actual steps to read those books, I'm not going to understand what the person is actually saying, right? And it's also, I guess this is a kind of a side note, but it's also been the case in my experience that I've seen, is that the people that actually know what's going on in the world, they read more. Now, of course, there are exceptions. But generally speaking, the people that have a direct line of communication with the happenings of the world are often the ones that are reading the most about the world. And so when you read about the world, you naturally have an inclination to want to learn more because there's so much to learn about in the world, right? There's just so much to there's so much to digest as well. And it's really become a it's become a challenge to even just keep up with everything that is happening in the world and everything that is going on. It's almost like we're chasing the chase to just keep up with whatever is happening in the world. And so my personal take on what it takes to actually learn about the world is to just read and do the things that you're interested in, about the things that you're interested in, because that's going to automatically shape your personality. And the more that you do that, the more that you bring life to your own life instead of spiritual death, because that's going back to the scripture. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. So your speech, especially the speech that you are able to communicate with to yourself, whatever you're telling yourself, this is the power that you have absolutely in your own life. You know, Jordan Peterson mentions something like, if you can learn how to write, you can learn how to speak well. Or you can learn how to speak. And if you learn how to speak well, you become unstoppable. Something like that. And I mentioned this to someone that I was having a consultation with the other day, and it really made me rethink this verse here. Because if you learn how to write well, if you learn how to articulate your thoughts, you automatically become stronger and more intelligent and more capable in the realms of and the domain of spiritual and emotional IQ. Intelligence is not something that comes from reading books, though. Intelligence is not something that comes from solving problems all the time necessarily. Intelligence comes from what's within you. Intelligence comes from how you are able to understand the direction of your own life, where you've been, where you're going, and how you want to get to where you want to go. So you must listen to that inner counsel, right? To receive the instruction of that which your spirit is giving you. A big way that I recommend people doing this is by interpreting their own dreams. And I actually have a dream workshop that I do where I help people interpret their own dreams. And so I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested. But the main goal of dreams is really the ideal mythological interpretation of your own reality. And so the dream is trying to tell you what's happening in your unconscious mind to the best of its own ability, but it's up to you consciously to communicate with your own unconscious. So we have, in the theory of Jungian psychology, we all have a personal unconscious, and then we all have a participation in the collective unconscious, and we also have a personal consciousness and then a collective consciousness. This is the idea that happened and occurred to Jung when he was studying his own psyche. And, you know, I've read a lot of his books on psychology, and it's really a deep well to get into, and that's really another topic for another day. But the main focus here is to understanding that collectively we all have these different kinds of archetypes and characters of who we believe ourselves to be, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And your dreams are like a movie that are being played to you to try to tell you what to do and what not to do in your own life. The dreams are also trying to describe to you the situation of your present reality. Some people don't think that dreams are that deep. It's like, oh, it's just a dream. No, no. There are so many things that happen and occur in dreams that are just not applicable to, or so easy to dismiss. Like, some of the things that happen in dreams are just too non-coincidental to easily dismiss. So I do honestly believe that understanding dreams, being that it is a spiritual map of your own existence, understanding your dreams is going to be, and writing them down so that you can remember them better, and also just being able to recall. I mean, that helps with cognitive ability. It helps with just remembering your own life, because so many people are not in remembrance of who they are. That's what causes narcissism. That's what causes toxic behaviors, because they don't want to remember who they are and what they're doing. But dreams are really the main source of utility when it comes to determining your next path in life and what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And yes, of course, like in the one of my recent videos that I've done, I did on S3X dreams and what those what those are really all about. And it's more, yes, there are demonic spirits and entities that can enter your dreams, and I do think that there are dreams that are given to you by God, and there are dreams that are given to you by the devil. And oftentimes those demonic dreams are given to you by the devil because he's trying to take you off course, whereas the ones that are given to you from God are very informative and very enlightening, and also very spiritual in a pure way. So, for example, one of my dreams where, like, I have a lot of times my dreams now, I'm to the point to where I can hear voices in my dreams, or I can really speak to the characters, almost sometimes lucid dreaming in a way, but other times not. But I'll speak to them and I'll ask them who they are or what they're doing in the dream. And oftentimes they'll be very upfront, and there are some times where they will give me a riddle. And I've found that the more riddlesome the response, the more correlated with God they seem to be. Whereas if they're trying to sway me into committing a sexual or a fleshly pleasure, of gluttony or something like that, then, or wrath, but a fleshly pleasure, then it's of Satan. So the main difference that you want to look at in your dreams is what is not only the context, because it's not just about what happens in the dream, it's also about, and it's not a matter of this or that, it's a matter of this and that. And that is something that I learned from Carl Jung in a book called Modern Man in Search for a Soul. The dreams are all connected because they're unconscious. And when you look at it through time, it is very mysterious how accurate it can be and what is actually going on. And sometimes, I've mentioned this in a previous video, but it says, I say that what the heart doesn't heal, the mind will repeat. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you will keep repeating certain patterns in your life more so and more often if you do not heal what is in your heart. If you do not heal the trauma of your heart from wherever it was, then you will absolutely be almost indicted to the sins of your own life, and they'll capture you if you do not learn from them, because that is the key, right? Love is always a lesson to learn, and to understand the lesson is to understand who you are and where you've been and where you're going and who you are just as a person and as an individual. So expectations of what is going to happen is going to destroy any sense of power that you have in the words that you speak and the actions that you do. And when you learn how to love the passion and love the desire and not repress it but discipline it, because there are forms of love that are through discipline. And I also think love is almost something that it's almost like higher than God in a lot of different ways in society nowadays. Like, people place love and the idea of love above God, which I don't think is correct. And I think that's a very dangerous thing to do for a lot of different reasons. But the idea and the fantasy of love in its own sake and in for its own self, it's a very complex situation, because you can meet somebody who is very enlightened or very intelligent in some way, and you can almost feel that they are the embodied essence of love. I've had this experience with a couple different kinds of people, but it's only happened a couple different times in my life where I truly felt that they embodied love as it is, and as it is from who they are as a person. And to honor that is to reap the rewards of such love. They were older too. They were older and very experienced and very, very knowledgeable, and yet filled with an array of wisdom. And they definitely had a lot of humility as well. This is another key thing to think about whenever you have a passion or have a desire that you're looking for. This is another earlier verse in the Proverbs 18:12. It says, before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. So whenever you have a situation where you are being humbled, know that it is likely the case that you will also be honored down the line. Whereas if you are committing acts of haughtiness, then you are only building walls in your heart, or you are piercing your own sense of who you are and what you're about, which, I mean, let's be real. Nobody really wants that. So this is a key understanding in the difference between mystery, passion, and folly, really. And to understand that death and life really are in your own grasp. If you can say what you will and will do, or maybe what you will not do, then you are on track. If you can say, I don't know if I can, or I don't think I can, or I give up, or I can't do this, you are destroying your own heart. You are destroying your own sense of identity, and you are absolutely committing a destruction, a sense of destruction to yourself, which I don't recommend. I used to do that a lot and never got much anywhere. So choose life. Choose the path of spiritual life, not the path of spiritual death. Peace be with you. Till next time.